I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the Village of Holly Park Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Welcome tonight, start of a new year. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before a roll call, I'd like to make a few comments. We would like to thank Shannon Cole for her time she spent on Village Parks, and glad to see her move up to council. We're going to miss her here. She was very influential on a lot of things and a lot of energy. And thank you, Shannon. And then we move up to, we'd like to welcome Jane DeSessa on board, and Tim Taylor. Welcome aboard. We'd like to thank you all for signing up and coming on, join us. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Kyer.
Here.
Peltonen. McCanny.
Here.
Hutchins.
Here.
Hamilton. Here. Taylor.
Here.
DeSessa.
Here.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to excuse Gail Pelton from tonight's meeting.
I will make the motion to excuse Gail Peltonen from tonight's meeting.
Second that?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Motion carried. Approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add or subtract from the agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion for someone to accept the agenda as submitted.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Taylor.
Here.
McCanny.
Is this a new agenda? This is separate. This is.
It's a revised agenda.
Okay,
You guys all got a revised agenda,
Yeah.
so.
okay, this one, I just didn't realize that, like we said that. It's the same general business except for one.
Right.
On the one word. And
Okay,
the
McCanny,
one,
you accept the agenda?
Yes.
DeSessa.
yes.
Hamilton. Yes. Kyer.
Yes.
Hutchins.
Yes. Approval of the minutes from October 2nd, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 2nd, 2024.
Support.
Roll call, please.
DeSessa.
Yes.
McCanny.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Hamilton. Yes. Taylor.
Yes.
Hutchins.
Yes. Moving on to public comment not related to the agenda. Would anybody like to speak, public speak?
John Love. It's too cold to come to a park meeting.
Address, please.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about,
John, your address, please.
200 North Saginaw.
Thank you.
The Bush, this Crenshaw Park, the trees, they got these 20 trees that they planted underneath the power lines. And they have the streetlights there that are left over from the village. So it doesn't make it look much like a park. You're blocking the view of the lake. And then there's the rusty trash barrels that need to be fixed so that at least it doesn't look too trashy. I'd like to see some information on lake access and the other parks. So if you stopped at one park, you could find out about the other parks that are, and access points that are available. The other problem is they got that tree in the river down there by La Grande that blocks the river, so you can't really get any kind of canoe or access from the river to go through there. I don't know what's going to happen about that. So those are just some of the things that came to mind about trying to fix it up. I think it was very sad that they cut down all the trees in the village because trees are removing carbon monoxide from the atmosphere. So we cut them all down so we could have a lot of little trees and look like a shopping center.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment not related to the agenda? Okay. Let's move on to old business. Discussion about urban community forestry program grant application.
That's me. We turned the application in on time. Unfortunately, there was paperwork that wasn't submitted with it. So it was considered an incomplete application. We needed some quotes for labor to maintain the trees and some quotes from the suppliers for the trees. So it was considered incomplete and it was rejected. We were not awarded it. So I suggest that from here on out, we look forward to the application that we can put in this, I believe it's in June, for $250,000. And that includes street trees and other things that we'll be able to include in that amount of money. I suggest, however, that we start getting quotes for things that we want to do immediately, so we don't run into the problem again that we ran into with the deadline.
Speak into the microphone, it's hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry, John, I will try to,
We'll just pull it toward you.
I can't. Oh, wait, I can. Okay, thank you. So anyway, just move forward and let's get a bigger grant.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions?
I just have a question. Is there a match required for this grant?
No, neither one of them. There's a lot of things out there that do have matching funds, and there was something that we got money for. Oh, it was from the money that was put in from the LUMA.
The dispensaries, yes.
Yeah, the dispensaries, and I wondered if we could use some of that money for matching funds, and you said we could. This
Yeah.
was before. Some of them require some matching funds and some of them don't. But I'm just going for the ones that don't require matching funds, and that one has $250,000.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Please let me know if I can help in any way, Risa.
You can do it if you want. You know a lot more about it than I do.
Okay, we'll work together. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, let's move on. If there's any more further questions, let's move on to general business. Election of officers. The officers are chair and vice chair.
Well, I would like to nominate Joe Hutchins for chairperson, and he could be vice chair if he wants to, too. So that means you have to show up even if you couldn't show up.
Yeah.
I second that motion.
And I would like to nominate Sarah to hold her position as vice chair. If you accept,
I would, yeah.
and I will accept. Any other nominations?
Discussion, I was actually going to nominate Sarah to be chair. My concern is that you don't have email, and so I feel like sometimes we're not kept in the loop because of that. It doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job. I think you've done fabulous, and I wouldn't mind you having a co-chair, but I think our chair should definitely have a way to communicate with us as a board.
That's a good point.
Jane?
So in some cities that I've worked in the past, and forgive me if I sound repetitive, but sometimes the city would give you an email, Joe, so that, and they give them to all the commission members. Of course, they're to be used only for, village businesses, but you may be able to get an email like that, okay?
Yeah,
And
we've
I
talked
would-
about this before, because they all use their personal, none of our commissions, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Clausen, but none of our commissions have village emails.
We really should. with
Only
all due
council.
respect.
Yeah.
However,
We really should.
all the commissioners have been advised to set up a separate email for that specific role. So like I have an email for parks where I receive parks information and I don't use my personal email.
Right.
But it's not through the village. I had to do that on my own.
Wow. I, didn't,
But
without,
we've all done that, but I think that you're just not set up at home to do email. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
but you could do it.
And I find over the years, being involved with the village and stuff, that I'm pretty approachable. I've lived in the same house for almost 50 years with the same phone number, so I've never had much problem making contact with a lot of people in the village, with my constituents or anybody else.
We did have a lot of miscommunication about the Ganshaw Park project, which I think maybe would have been eliminated if we had had like, you know, information that was being presented to the commission in between our meetings too. That could be an advantage. I think that you've done a fine job otherwise, but I would prefer to be the co-chair, but I think that that's a valid point.
How about if we, if there's an email that goes out, one of us calls Joe and tells him.
I think the problem isn't that we need to call them, I think it's that there were meetings where we weren't informed.
In some of the meetings that weren't informed, there was nothing presented at the meetings to be informed about, mainly with SISMA.
Well, and you have to be careful with emails and Open Meetings Act violations too. Because if you discuss business between 3 council members or commissioners, you violate the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we've all been aware of the information that the village has sent out to all the boards and stuff about using emails and the Open Meetings Act. So we're all educated on the pros and cons of emails. Yeah.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Clausen, is there any reason why the village couldn't provide emails to?
Because of the IT people that we use, there's a cost associated with each email that they generate. So because of cost. That's what's been explained to me.
Could you look into that? Because
Yeah.
I don't think the cost would be
Right.
It's not, I
significant.
don't think it's exorbitant, but that's what I was.
Yeah, with all due respect, I
Yes, I
disagree
can
with
check
you.
into it.
I think that there's a way that it can be done, because again, I've done it in other communities.
If you don't talk into the microphone.
Can you hear me, John? John, I'm talking directly to the mic. I apologize, sir, but I am speaking right at the mic. Can you hear me now? I can speak louder. Okay. Okay, thank you, and I apologize. Mr. Clausen?
Yes, I'll
I
check
would
into that
respectfully
before-
ask that you check into that, because I didn't think the cost was significant. Again, I'm speaking from my personal experience, and that's something that the village should provide. I mean, we are doing village businesses, and to say that the village could incur that cost, as minor as it is, and give it to us, with all due respect,
Well, like I said, that was just what explained to me. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I mean,
Okay.
it would make, yeah.
would you look into that, sir, please?
Yes, I will
Because
do
I think our chair here has done an excellent job, and I would hate to say that just because of that reason, he wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay.
I thank you.
Any further discussion? I guess we go for a vote.
Did we get a second on Sarah?
Oh,
Yes, yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Jane?
Jane, I feel like Jane seconded.
You second both
I second both.
nominations? Okay.
But I second her
As the co-chair,
as a co-chair,
or vice chair?
Vice Chair.
vice chair, yes.
I just want to make sure that she got it right for the
Yes,
record. Okay,
thank you.
yep. Yes. So you voted on both, Joe, or you want them separate?
Pardon?
You want them voted as one, or you want them voted on separately?
Let's go ahead and vote separate.
Okay, so the first one will be for Joe as the chair.
Okay.
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
McCanny,
Yes.
Kyer,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes,
Hutchins.
Yes.
So now the vote will be for Sarah as the vice chair.
McCanny,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Hutchins.
Yes. Well, we got that out of the way. Thank you for your support. Thank you for still being vice chair.
You're also making a decision.
Okay. Let's move on to a discussion about fireworks committee and 4th of July and holidays.
Well, we have some changeover in staff. There's a new clerk treasurer that has started, and the new village manager will start after his appointment on January 14th at the council meeting. So I know that previously, the previous administration has done a lot of the fundraising, and the outgoing manager has expressed has expressed concern about that, putting that on the new administration. So it was brought up at our October meeting that Parks should appoint a subcommittee to look into assisting with holidays and 4th of July fundraising for the park, or for the fireworks.
I thought that was gonna be a council thing, that we were gonna take some, like a couple from Parks and a couple from DDA and maybe a couple from council. I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, but
more
you still
spread
have
out
to
together.
nominate, two, or how many people you want from this committee to be part of that, so. Either someone can volunteer, or 5 people step forward, 1 steps back, or vice versa, however you wanna do it. Or the 2 new people get to do it, I don't know. They get the short straw.
We have some special places for the new people. So are you looking for some volunteers tonight from our?
Well, I think then Amber can take it back to council that says, these people are interested. And I say 2, it can be more if more people want to be involved with it. But I think then that way she can present it to council, say, from the Parks Commission, these following people want to be part of this.
Yeah.
And then they can start electing people for that, so.
Can I ask, has this been presented to council? Did you bring this up at council?
Yeah, it was brought up by both me and village manager Walker of like, hey, this is kind of coming down.
And was it well received, the idea?
I mean, I don't feel like anybody was against it, that it wasn't, oh yes, let's do that.
Nobody mentioned wanting to be part of doing event?
No, because I feel like we didn't even get to that point, it was more like, hey, this is what's going on, this is who has always done the fundraising, this is an idea that we've come up with to maybe not put so much of an onus on the administration,
Right. And do we have any idea on the new administration, the new staff that have been hired, are they in favor of being part of a committee like this? Are they not in favor? Do you know, have you had any sort of an idea?
I've only had about a 20-minute conversation with the new manager, and
Wasn't about that.
yes.
I can say that when we did our interviews with both,
Okay.
that those were questions that we asked of them about being involved in the community, and I know that the village manager, Tim Price, is very involved in the community that he's a part of now. Before he came here, he ran Pride festivals and things like that, created their first Pride festival there in Grand Haven, so I definitely think he would probably be interested in at least having a hand in it as well.
Well, with that in mind, I don't mind being involved. I don't want to step up and then I'm the only shoulders to take it all, because nobody else wants to.
I believe Ms. DeSessa just said that she would also volunteer, so if we had,
Okay.
you and Jane, I think that
That
would be
would be good.
perfect.
That'd be good.
Yeah, as long as, but my intention and my hope is that we get a lot of
You need your
support
volunteer.
from all different, I'm envisioning chamber, council, parks, DDA, Holly Fire, Holly Police, HIA, I really want to involve all of the different entities, not just parks. It's too much for 2 people, I know that for a fact.
And that way,
Why not?
Thank you.
we'll be more well-rounded by going throughout the whole community,
We'll have a better chance at success for any of the
Yeah.
events, yeah.
The more the merrier. Okay, so we don't have to you don't want a
No, Amber can take it back, that Parks talked about it, and that the members, the commissioners have volunteered for it.
Yep.
And then I think probably someone from, from council spearheaded, or the new manager, and then they'll start the committee, which probably should be started sooner than later, since we're talking about 6 months, so. I know the contract for the fireworks was approved at the December meeting, and the fireworks at the Lakeside will not be on the 4th this year, so there's gonna have to be a lot of advertisement for that, since people have traditionally been used to the 4th, so.
Is there a plan in place from staff to do advertising for that, or is that something that we need to do from park standpoint?
Good question. I don't have an answer for that right now, but I can check into it.
All right, just so we don't overlook getting it done, even if we need to do it, just, I think it needs to be done. We don't want, there's a lot of families that plan events around it being on the 4th, and so the sooner we let everybody know that and make sure that it's widely understood, I think the better.
We'll stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on the fireworks?
I have one other question. Do you know where we stand on the contract? The contract is approved, is the money there? Or do we have to fundraise the money to pay for the contract? Because it was my understanding from the report we had in October that we have to make that half of it has to be due in next month? Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know where we're at financially on that. I don't know if there was money left over from the fundraising last year or not. I know usually the parking and some of that money's carried forward, but I don't know how much exactly.
Okay, let's move on to appointment parks liaison to SISMA. For the new folks, SISMA is sponsored through Oakland County Parks. They take care of invasives, is their main thing. We have in town here, about half a mile to 3/4 of a mile of shoreline with invasives. So we have a program working with SISMA. They're gonna come in with their team of people, professionals, and point out what trees we should save, what invasives to get rid of, and then they'll come up with a plan and money to execute their plan. So we got Waterworks Park on the Shiawassee. We have Ganshaw on Bevins Lake, and we have a long piece of shoreline from the other park, Lakeside Park, all the way around the cemetery to the boat launch. So that's how much waterfront property we have with a lot of invasives. Ganshaw right now is in the worst shape as far as invasives go. We're almost done with Waterworks, which we'll discuss here in the near future. And SISMA has a meeting once a month, and usually Shannon was our liaison to that, and she'd have to go to the meeting. And I told her as chairperson, I would back her up if she had other things to go on. So anybody that signs up and wants to be the liaison for SISMA, I would be more than happy. If you have a conflict of interest, I would fill in the spot for our liaison. I'm retired, so I have time to move around. So if anybody wants to get involved with SISMA, it's a big new thing. It's all over the state of Michigan. It isn't just here, but Oakland County's got some money to spend, and we're Oakland County, so send us some money in programs. SISMA is active in Holly Township parks. They did a controlled burn, and it cost Township Parks $0. And now we're gonna go into winter mowing to get rid of more invasives at no cost. And a controlled burn with professional burners costs a lot of money. And it didn't cost us a dime. We have 93 acres out of town here, and we're involved with SISMA. I brought SISMA's attention to our board here and the council to get involved, to get some of this money, taxpayers' money, to improve our invasives, because Ganshaw Park, you can't see the lake no more because of the invasives. So they're supposed to come up with their plan, which will be presented to Parks, and then if we like their plan, we'll recommend it to the village council. And they're inundated right now with applications from a lot of communities, because we're talking big bucks. So we were supposed to probably had a SISMA meeting, I would say, Brian, probably it should have been late summer, early fall, but he's our village liaison for SISMA, our contact. And we haven't heard much because they are really inundated with a lot of backlog on applications.
And I know there was some funding they were waiting to see if it came through, and I
Yeah.
believe it did come through, so,
We're getting closer then, right?
yes. I'm just waiting to hear back. I know Nick, they sent a very vague email to Nick Clem before he left, but it didn't spell out any of the things that we had discussed what we wanted to see. And if we were able to do certain things at Ganshaw with the evasives there, what our limitations were without needing a permit, so.
The only thing we're allowed to do at Ganshaw was mow 10 feet on the other side of the split rail fence towards the lake.
Yeah.
That's what was allowed. And that's the only contact we've had. That's why we've never had a meeting about what's going on with our SISMA, is nothing's come along to have a meeting for, no information. That was the only thing that was let out was, we could mow some of the invasives down, so.
It sounds like you said, like, you're retired, you have some time to do it. Would you be open to being the liaison?
I could be, unless somebody else wants to be interested in it, you know?
Well, it seems like you're just very knowledgeable about it.
I don't know much about it, but I'd be willing to learn and step in if you want.
Maybe Tim can be the alternate, you can be the rep.
Yeah, I would say at least we have a backup. I like to let the new folks or anybody else get their feet wet. You know, with this, because it's all part of it.
Go together?
Yeah, I'm fine working.
So you could teach him, and then when the time comes, just
Yeah,
let go.
yeah. Okay, do we have to make a motion on that? Yeah, for
Yeah.
liaison? So I'll be liaison with a backup from Tim.
Okay.
So is that your
I
motion?
entertain a motion on that.
You can have two liaisons, right?
No, one would be the alternate.
One would be just a backup, so they
Or
know
alternate.
that if something happens to me, you know, if I win the lottery and leave, disappear with my dogs, everybody knows I'm gone, you know, we have something backup.
So Tim would be the alternate. I would support that motion.
Who made the motion? For Joe, you supported or made the motion?
I'll make that motion.
For
I'll
Joe to-
support.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
McCamey,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Hutchins.
Yes. Okay, we got that settled. Off to SISMA. I wish they'd hurry up, but you can't hurry these people. It's money. Moving on to budget discussion.
The two projects that I show still outstanding are, well, there's three of them actually. The bridge at Waterworks, we still have some boards to replace on that. There still needs to be a decision on how much or how little we want to do to the gazebo at Ganshaw. And, still moving forward with removing more of the fence and replacing some of the holly bushes and landscaping at Lakeside that didn't make it through
Yeah.
the summer. And I know there was some other discussion, but those were the three projects that I remember.
Yeah, I think that
Stood
was our
out.
priority projects we discussed,
Yeah.
leftover priorities.
Can I ask a question on the gazebo at Ganshaw? Do you know what the presentation was supposed to be in October,
Yeah, my understanding was I was trying to get a rendering, and there was some different discussions between how much wanted to be done, or, you know, whether we were gonna add to it and just rehab it, or tear it completely down and start over. But I know there was some donations from local civic groups that wanted to donate material and labor to it. But the person that there was a difference of opinion on how much or how little to do. So I'm still in contact with those people to try to get an idea. My understanding is the civic group is still interested in doing it. So, hopefully in the next couple months, we can get something together, and then when the weather breaks, we can move forward with it.
One thing about the gazebo down there, I think the best part of the gazebo structurally is the roof. That's about it.
Well,
More or less.
yeah, unfortunately, like everything in Holly, it's built on a swamp, so when the water table rises and freezes, thaws, things seem a tendency to rock and roll a little bit, so.
Is Mr. Rathberg heading that civic group that you're talking about?
No, Jerome Raska was.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jerome was working with Danny, and then there was a difference of opinion, so trying to get them on the same page so they can present something that everybody can agree on, so then we can move forward, instead of one person wanting to run this way and one person run this way, and then we're not getting anywhere, so.
I see.
Any other questions on our three main projects? Yeah, Jane?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if this question goes to you or to Mr. Clausen. So under this item, the purpose of this item was just simply to discuss the status of the current budget. You're not asking us to come up with projects for the upcoming year, am I correct?
Right, that'll be in March. We have $27,000 in this year's budget for projects that'll goes through July 1st. So these are projects that we can do before July 1st. And then in March, we'll start talking about projects after July 1st.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
And just for clarification too, 7,000 out of that 27,000 was given to us by Loom, the dispensary for, like more toddler-friendly playground equipment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll start looking, I assume we'll talk about that in March because.
Yeah. Or we can talk about it at next month's meeting, because as we all know, sometimes delivery time takes a little bit longer, so.
Yeah, that's-
It's gotten better, but it's not there before pre-COVID, so.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, the farmer's market contributes money back to parks for exchange using the park. Do you know if that money is included in that?
I would have to check on that. I wasn't aware of how that arrangement works, so.
Okay. I have to check on that as well, but it's my understanding, I was speaking to Diana Reagan, who runs the farmer's market, and it's gonna be about $2,000 from last year's percentage, that we agreed upon percentage that goes back to parks.
Cool.
It's going to change though.
What's that?
That could change, especially with the moving of the train depot.
I don't think it'll affect our farmer's market, at least not this year.
Okay,
There was no vendors where the market, or where the depot's going. They were on the other side.
so it won't have an impact on it at all? Like in
Well, if
parking?
anything, it'll enhance it, because there's gonna be public bathrooms, and then there'll be a building that if it's vacant. they
Oh,
can-
excellent,
Yes.
excellent. Okay, thank you.
For full disclosure, though, it's my understanding that after that depot building moves from the location it's at, that the railroad itself desires to rework the curvature, because it's very bad on the trains, and they always have to do the replacements there. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but if you just look at it from an aerial view, I would expect that we may lose part of our park area and have more area towards Broad Street that might be available.
Okay.
That's not village-owned property, it's railroad-owned property, so we're kind of at their mercy.
And the biggest thing
What
is,
they wanna do.
I do believe, sorry, just for clarification too, I think we talked about this, because I talked about that too, of like, we don't really own it, but we did just sign like
We
another
did.
100-year.
Yeah, we have a new 100-year lease for
Yeah.
Crapo Park.
For the existing layout,
That is my understanding, yes. And my understanding is that siding that is there, they call it a siding, is that will be removed, and the new track will be where the depot, that's why they want the depot moved and gone, because they're gonna change that diamond configuration there. So it's gonna be
it may
more,
not affect our park.
yeah, it should not affect the park. I think most of it's gonna be farther east and southeast of, yeah.
yeah, they're trying to take some of the history on that train. That's why the train north and southbound train, the Jesse, I call it still, is the curve's too sharp for the longer rail cars. So they're gonna try and sweep that curve out more so they can go a little faster. That's a 5-mile-an-hour train through town. The other one's 45 miles an hour. So if you're gonna beat the train, beat the slow one. Yeah.
But long story short, I don't think that our market will get affected, at least not this year, except for the fact that parking might be harder. Might affect some of the parking areas over by the old depot.
Excellent.
We did updates to the parking lot at Waterworks, correct, last year?
Yes, there was 2 trains of road gravel brought in and spread out and squared that up a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Some
that
of the projects that were done last year was the drinking fountain was replaced at Lakeside and the cement around it. Second pavilion was erected at Waterworks.
And the mama baby swings were put in.
The adult swing was put in at Lakeside.
Yeah.
The parking lot was approved at Waterworks. So,
Have we looked into thinking about the boat launch there at Lakeside, about maybe making some improvements to that boat launch as well?
We have talked about that.
Yeah, the biggest problem with the boat launch is, it's cement going in so far. But then guys like to run their motors and their props at the base of that. It washes a 3-foot hole out, so when you get your trailer down in there, you could actually get it caught or tear the axle out of the trailer. So we discussed this quite a few years ago, of putting some more slabs in, so they can get out in there, because it's shallow.
That's why I wonder, even for kayakers, you know what I mean, so that it would just be an easier
Did we ever
entry.
get pricing on that though, Brian?
I would have to check on permits, because once you get into the water,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be dealing with permits, so I can check on that, so.
And that would have to be backfilled, and then they could bring in precast slabs and a crane and drop them slabs in, so that's how they put in the first one. But it's a little bit of a liability. I mean, somebody step off that cement by getting into their kayak, you go into a 3-foot hole right away.
Well, I've gone with my kayak and stepped on glass and I didn't sue anybody, so.
Yeah,
I think we're
yeah.
okay.
That launch is pretty messy.
yeah. Okay, any more discussion? Let's move on to, the last item. I brought this up on the agenda, Waterworks Park cleanup for brush. Last summer, we did a heck of a job taking out, cleaning up the banks and stuff at Waterworks. Man, we still got a piece left about twice the size of this room to the end.
Some of that, Joe, a local investor that bought that house right at the end of the park, did some cleanup there on his own and asked if it was permissible. I said, I don't think the park's gonna complain.
Yeah.
Because the Parks Commission, and I was gonna bring that up, that he's done some of that work, and so maybe when we do our spring walk around, you can
Yeah.
look at it and see how much more is there, but he did do some work there.
Yeah,
So
I
that he's gonna, it's a rental house for him, that the renters or whoever uses that will have a view of the river there. He cleaned some of that up.
Because we got 2 trees that are down in the river down there too, which could be brought out with a wrecker or, a winch or something. But we still got that one chunk left. We did such a great job. We had 30 people there last year. Gail Pelton is our contact person for free labor.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring it up tonight, is to get this back up on the board, get looking at it, because when
Well, and
spring
that-
comes, April comes, we'd like to tear into that.
And that would be, one of the agenda items for February would be
Yep.
setting the spring cleanup, or spring walk around.
Yep.
And then the cleanup date, so.
I just wanted to get it on so we start thinking about it,
Yeah, do you wanna reach out to Gail now and let her know that we're gonna, make sure she knows we're gonna be discussing that in February? Because last year, if I'm remembering correctly, we had, we weren't able to set a date for our cleanup because we wanted to set it when we knew we would get the manpower.
Yeah,
So it'd be better to have our date pre-established.
yeah.
And we usually try to do it somewhere around Earth Day. This
Yeah.
year, however, Earth Day is the day after Easter, or 2 days after Easter Sunday. So we may look at doing, maybe not right around Earth Day this year, but I think we should have a discussion with her about finding out in April when
Yeah.
they're available.
Yeah, because it all hinged, like last year, hinges on the help, because, that's
Yeah.
why we.
It used to
But
be
we
called
also
RAM,
have
I'm
to
not
have,
sure
like,
what they
2
call it
months
now.
out
Yeah.
Before, so we can't wait to start that, I don't think in February, if we want to get them in April.
I will get a hold of Gail.
Okay.
Just another thing too, I know that last meeting for council, we approved, I always get this wrong,
CBDG funds.
Yeah,
it's,
and like 15,000 of that was allocated to us as a park board for more handicap accessible park benches and stuff like that. So that takes something off of our plate as well, where we can spend this money towards other things, because
Yep.
now we've got kind of this free
That's
money
really
that's coming to us for that.
Yeah, move them dollars around. Yep.
And just one other thing too, I wonder, we've talked about it a couple times, but the Morris Fine Arboretum, which you brought to my attention, we have no access there to that dam. or to that sliver of land that we have. So I wonder if there's a way to create an access point there, like a bridge or something that you guys can access it instead of walking onto the neighbor's property.
Well, actually, the village owns, he only owns like 5 feet there, but he's sort of taken it over, his own eminent domain. But, there was an attempt about 20 years ago to put a bridge in without permits. So if you go out there, you can still see the poles in the water. So that would be the biggest hurdle, is getting all the permits in place, and then with it
Would that
being,
be something through us, or would that maybe be more of a council?
that would probably be more of a council, because there's probably gonna be a major expense there, and then you're gonna have to make it ADA compliant, so you're gonna have to look at different things, you know, parking areas, that kind of stuff down there, and be ADA compliant with
So
something
we
like
do
that.
have access to that piece of land.
Well, there is a private bridge that is next door, but I think he's got that gated off or locked off or something like that.
Yeah, the only way to do it is to walk onto that property, walk across the dam to get to that sliver
Yeah.
of land that runs behind the mill pond.
So we may have to make some discussions with that individual then? Explain.
That's what we do, and he
Yeah.
usually is home and grants us access, but, that's really not appropriate for public to do. If we wanted to.
Agree.
If we wanted to do something with that piece of property.
Well, and just like I said, just to give us more access as a village, you know, for them to do the repairs or, you know, maintenance on that dam.
How is the status with the dam down there? We discussed this a couple years ago.
It's considered a high hazard dam by Eagle. There'll be some stuff coming in the spring because of previous work that was done there and future work. Eagle is advocating removal of the dam, but that is not a popular decision here, and it's not something that staff is going to advocate. And we've told Eagle that, just because of the people that are on, you know, they did that in Davisburg, and there was only one residential property on that dam. And it,
Still ruined it for the rest of us.
yeah, but it ended up in litigation, and I don't think the village wants to partake in that. And then also with it being both in two communities, Rose Township and the village, it complicates things. But, so staff has relayed to Eagle that, you know, we're not gonna advocate removal of the dam, but council's gonna have to make the decision of how much resources they wanna put into the dam.
So when you say high hazard, you're meaning like it's got a high rate of failure?
Yeah, they rate it as hazard, high hazard, and just because of the age and the possibility of a failure, that's what they rate high hazard. It's been a high hazard dam for probably the last 30 years, so.
Now, one other comment about the removal of that dam. It not only affects our mill pond, upstream, you've got Lacey Lake and a couple other lakes, and Radley Lake.
Yeah.
What's it gonna do? If we remove that dam, it's gonna take all the water out and ruin waterfront property for other people upstream.
Well, there's still, my understanding was there was 3 dams upstream from us before. Then when they removed Davisburg, there's still 2 existing dams upstream. So they would still be able to regulate their water levels that way. It would just, and if you noticed, we didn't do it this year because Eagle didn't issue us a drawdown permit. But when we drew it down, that's what it would look like if we were to remove the dam, because
Yep.
pretty much we've taken all the gates out, and technically there's 2 dams. There's a northern dam that was across from where the old Waterworks building was, and then there's a southern dam, which everybody considers the main dam. That's the earthen embankment and the concrete structure.
What happens to the property around that if the mill pond goes away? Does everybody's property extend farther out, or does it?
It depends, because it's already been plotted, so they already may extend in the water. So if it goes down, or the village can work to give it back, you know, turn it over to them. But
Is that considered a park?
yeah, that would just become, yeah, it could be considered park property because the village, you know, but then there's soil remediation and, yeah, there's a lot of complications to just,
Plus, it's always still floodplain, in a floodplain also.
yes. So when we do have heavier rains, depending on what the dams do upstream from us, that water level will fluctuate.
Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay, moving on to closing public comment. Does anybody have any more public comment? Scott?
So I can talk into the mic. Scott Schlag, 6378 Weatherford Court. For the new people, I do the baseball at Cyclone Park during the summer. And I have news that we will have a 25 season. We have 4 dates. We have 2 tournaments and 2 single games. The tournaments will be May 31st and June 7th, so back-to-back weekends.
Can you get a special event form?
I will get
filled out
I'm
this
working on that
weekend?
right now.
Okay.
One of the cool things is in August, I have secured a club from New York, from the Queens area, that likes to travel the country, is coming into play against the early risers that have been out here multiple times. So, just thought that would be kind of cool to have, get our name out to to locations outside the state. Also, I will be blanketing every business in town with advertising and signage and with all the dates. So that's about it for right now. I'll have the
May 31st and June 7th.
are the 2 tournaments. That'll be the Battle Alley Brawl. I just moved it back because of the weather. And then I moved up the Holly Cup. So those 2 tournaments are playing back-to-back weekends.
So nothing in August and September this year?
August 23rd will be the early risers and the mutuals. There'll be nothing in July, as of right now. September will be Cary Nation, which will be a single game. It'll be Mount Clemens and Lansing playing. We have the same 4 clubs for the Holly Cup. They loved it last year so much that they've made this their own little exclusive gathering spot. The May 31st, we'll have Rockford back again as defending champs, but I will also have Royal Oak, Rochester, and Richmond. So it's a battle of the R's. So, but Rochester Grangers, they're right down the street. They've been around for 30-some years. So we can put on a good event for them. Again, it gets the word out. We've proved that we can play in multiple spots within the park now that the Little League field is down. Thank you, Brian. And we are going to try something different this spring if Mother Nature plays along. We're going to play right in front of the flagpole. Diane's all happy about that. If you need help, Brian, I'll help clean up some of that brush around where Diane's house is at. Clean that, get that out of there, so the mosquitoes we don't have as much with the mosquitoes and poison stuff. Because I don't want to be itchy and bitten to death, but I'll keep you guys abreast as we get closer.
Scott?
Yes, sir.
One question. Are you still using township ball fields for your backup?
Yes, sir.
And you'll have to go to that?
I'll go to that meeting next week too. My summer is the first 2 Wednesdays.
Township Parks is tonight.
Yes, tonight.
Then I won't be there tonight. How are you in 2 places at once?
He's amazing that way, isn't he?
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Any other public comment?
You've got my email, right? You've got my email, right? Okay.
2 things, the railroad,
You have to say your name and the address.
John Love, again,
Your address?
200 North Saginaw.
Okay, John.
I'm still there. That was a house that needed a lot of rebuilding when I bought it. They all are. I'm working on Sherman right now to get ready to sell that. That was one that was going to be demolished. The railroad wants to eliminate the diamond. That's why they want to remove the depot, because the diamond requires too much maintenance. So they're going to replace it with 2 switches. So they'll switch onto the main line for 50 feet and then switch off at the other end to continue their train south. Because they have to go down there every week or so and fix it. The dam at the Waterworks Park, next to it, there's an embankment there, and that degrades and the water starts flowing underneath the soil past the dam, and they've had to repair that. I don't know what the status is of it now, but with spring coming, it softens it up again. So those are 2 things that, now you know more.
Thanks, John. Let's move on to reports, staff reports. Brian?
We talked about budget stuff.
Jay, this is,
John, we're trying to run a meeting, please.
sorry, right here, John.
Can you get that after the meeting? Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, Brian.
All right.
We're used to it.
We talked about budget. We'll continue to move forward with the stuff that's for this year, and then start thinking about stuff for next year. Thank you for the reminder about the CBDG. I'll check with Debbie before she leaves and remind Lisa. I had to think for a minute what her name is. So we keep moving forward with that, because I know with CBDG funds, they release them at odd dates. So sometimes it's from the previous year funds and stuff like that. So we'll get all that straight. And then we'll do the shuffle of the equipment that we purchase and get them in the right parts. And that's about it.
Also
Yes.
check on the, what Sarah said about the farmer's market.
Yes, the money for the farmer's market, I'll check on that.
Yep.
I know in years past, when you brought that up, Sarah, I didn't remember, they came and made a presentation. So are they planning to do that again at the Parks meeting? So we'll just have to make sure that we get that on the agenda beforehand
Yeah,
for that presentation.
yeah, because of medical situation, she wasn't able to have that ready for us this month. I did ask her.
Okay, I just make sure we get it on the agenda so that if she shows up here, we're prepared for that. And I'll check on the DNR permits for the boat launch at Lakeside and see how much work that entails or what we need to do for that. And what costs are associated with that. I'll check on the emails for commissioners. And Joe, are you gonna contact Gail about, it was always called WHAM, I know it's called something different now. ESP? ASP
Alternate sentencing.
program.
I'll check with Gail on that.
Just so we start that, because I know, like Sarah had mentioned, that the dates and getting that lined up sometimes can be a little complicated.
Especially with Easter.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's all I have.
Anybody got any questions for,
And welcome aboard the new people. We'll have lots to do once the weather breaks.
okay, let's move on to board member comments. Raisa?
I don't know if this is a comment or what, but I am the liaison to the Shiawassee River Water Trail Coalition, and as far as I know, they haven't had a meeting since last October. I'm gonna get with Chris. He said he would go with me to the first meeting, so I didn't want you to think that I'd forgotten that I was a liaison to it. Thank you. I will.
I get the emails for that too. They've had a couple, they did have a meeting in December, so if you're having email problems, then
I would like to know at least who the contact person was at their email.
David Losing from Linden,
Okay,
so I can get you that information.
would you?
Yep.
Thank you. I would appreciate it.
Yep.
There you go.
All set?
Yep.
Sarah?
Our next park event is gonna be the farmer's market in the park. We are set to do that. She was getting her special event permit put in. Did that occur? Yeah.
I have not seen it yet.
It's gonna be the same as last year is what she's proposing. That means that she'll start with the weekend, before Mother's Day, or of Mother's Day, so it'd be May 4th, ending with October 26th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., with a possibility that they may have extended hours this season, if they can get enough of the vendors' agreement.
That's it?
That's it that I've got, yep.
Okay. Amber?
I already updated you on, we got those funds for, more handicap accessible stuff for our parks. I'm gonna bring up, at our next council meeting about this, fireworks committee, 4th of July, holidays. I did wanna, for the Shiawassee River, that tree that's down, generally, the Shiawassee River, they do like a spring cleanup every year, cause that happens along that, so that's really not in our purview. They will take care of that, and they've got a team of volunteers to get that cleaned up. And that's about all that I have.
Okey-doke. Tim?
I have nothing. Just thanks for having me right now, I'm still learning.
Hey, thanks for being on. Jane?
I want to make sure I speak loud enough for John. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure being with you, to be appointed, like Tim said. I look forward to working with y'all. It's going to be quite a learning process, and if I can help in any ways, please use the little experience I have. I'd be happy to work with everybody. I'm looking forward to working on the fireworks stuff. It's exciting, so it'll be good. The only report, and it's not really a report, but it's more of I guess a comment, like Risa was saying. We are part of Oakland County. We live in Oakland County, and as you all know, our residents did approve that ballot measure regarding the parks, and so they're going to be making all kinds of improvements to our Oakland County parks. And if you've been watching the television news, they have a survey. The Oakland County commissioners, park commissioners, are asking our residents to provide input on what they would like to see done with some of the dollars. And I believe they're looking at some of their park works area that they want to maybe change. So please take a look at that. Go to their website. I wish I had written it down. But if you go to the Oakland County Parks Commission website, you should be able to find that. And they have a survey for all its residents to go in there and make some comments and let them know what it is that we want to do. So again, I don't know if today may be the last day, so I hope it's not, but I'm sure they'll receive your comments regardless. They're looking for input.
Thank you.
A
Thank
little update on that, because I watch the Detroit stations. They're looking, the biggest one they want to look at first is, their priority is the water park.
The water park, yes.
And they want to input, do people want the waves put back in, or what do they want in their slides and stuff like that? So they're looking for public input on that, because that thing that was built 35 years ago, and that's where they're going to have to spend a lot of money or not much. They don't want to go through and put it back to where it was, because if it isn't wanted. So thanks for bringing that up on Oakland County. And I guess I'll move on to my report. The biggest thing, we were part of, me and Shannon were on a committee for Cyclone Park. We were involved with different
The
part.
memorial,
Yeah, the tribute.
the tribute.
And it's kind of playing out right now. It's going to be getting regrouped. The fire chief and inspector, was spearheading it, and we needed more volunteers and stuff. They had two boot drives. Him and his wife did one, and then he did the other one. And they raised probably around a couple $1,000. But we're looking at, I got to get a hold of Joe Mishler, because he was on it, and see about re-getting this going. Because about the only thing we really started looking at was where the tribute would probably be looking at the location. And we talked about a walk around this site for exercise. So that's about the only thing we were looking at, and then everything got kind of put on the table. So I'm gonna start contacting that again and see what's going on with that. And I explained to people, everybody likes the open spaces out here. This is the last open space we got. We don't want to do it wrong. And this isn't going to be done, I can't say it's going to be done in 5 years. This park out here is going to evolve as needed. And we got baseball out there, and we still have open spot where people could fly kites and do a lot of things out there with their family. You know, Lakeside Park is getting pretty well packed, and Ganshaw is not very big. And we still got some room at waterworks. But we're still gonna be looking at what's going on here. So I'm gonna get a hold of Joe Mishler, because he was on that, and, we'll have a new, village manager get involved, and the police chief was involved, there was a lot of people involved, so a lot of input, plus 2 people on parks. So as that comes around about, I'll bring it back on the agenda, and we'll get some more volunteers for that. And, we had 2 people off of parks go to those meetings, and they were usually during the day, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. We tried to, make sure that, that Shannon was involved, you know, because she's still working as a teacher, so. We're still looking at it. It hasn't died. It's just kind of on the back burner right now till we get
I thought when it was presented to us that they talked about that there was already funding in place, that they had already talked to people who were willing to give money towards this.
And that's what Shannon was doing. She, with her contacts, was trying to raise money from a corporation that she was tied with to get funding and stuff. So far, the only thing I know, I don't know, I've talked to the fire chief to find out who has sent funds or wants to send funds. So we gotta get back to a meeting again, because I think that the last one, there was only 3 of us there.
Do you need somebody else from Parks to, since Shannon, is Shannon gonna stay on as that?
I don't know, that's why I
We need
want,
another liaison from Parks, we originally said 2, right?
yeah, we have to get one. But I have to find out when they're gonna start back up and get going on this, you know, find out what's going on.
Yeah, I don't
Otherwise,
think
we're-
Shannon, with her schedule, like he said, it became just a
Really
conflict
hard,
because it's,
yeah.
it's in the middle of the day and a lot of us, have jobs.
And sometimes we'd have a meeting at 4 or 5 o'clock, just so she could get there in time, so yeah. But I say, it kind of fell apart. Not all the way yet, it's still there, but we're still looking at it.
Watson came and talked to me as well about him,
Yeah.
like thinking about maybe backing out,
Yeah. So it's still breathing, we just gotta give it a little CPR. So that's my only report for that, and I adjourn the meeting at 7:03.